What is happening, people? It is Brian, Alsruhe, NEVERsate.com, and today we're going to talk about stress. Now, more specifically, how stress relates to your actual lifting goals and your performance in the gym. Now, I was a huge proponent of saying that anything that was going on outside the gym had absolutely nothing to do with your performance inside the gym for a very, very long time. I truly believe that if you were just mentally tough enough and you continue to push through, that you would always find other reserves, you would always have more to give, and you can always do that. And I would still probably stand by that for probably 99.9% of the people out there. I do not think there's enough stress on them to really affect how they're performing in the gym. It's very similar to diet. A lot of people say if they did not eat food that day that their lift goes terribly, but that is not physiologically what happens. Within 24 hours of not eating, your body has no physiological changes that would actually matter for weightlifting. Same thing here. For most people, the amount of stress that they're under, I do not believe that it has any negative effects on their actual lifting. However, I can honestly say that after this year, after 2017, stress can have a massive, massive effect on your performance, both for the good and for the bad. But again, only if you're truly actually stressed out. And that's gonna be different for everybody, because what stresses you out is not gonna stress me out, and what stresses me out is not gonna stress somebody else out. So I can't tell you where a normal level of stress should be or shouldn't be. All that I can tell you is that if you are stressed out, it is 100% affecting what's going on. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering how I actually determined what was stress related and what was not, and this has actually been about a 6-month process. So back when I did my last 2 local competitions, I did the East Coast Most Powerful and I did the Royal Rumble in Westminster, Maryland, both of which I competed in the heavyweight class, which had 300-pound guys in the class, so I tried to get as heavy as possible. So after my last competition, which was in probably like mid-August, later August, I was as heaviest I've ever been. After the celebration, after the competition, I was 273 pounds, which is absolutely massive for a person with my frame. However, I wouldn't call myself fat. I would have said that I was fat-ish. Husky would probably be a better term. Husky. And now here we are staring 2018 in the face, and I was 225 pounds about 3 weeks ago. So that is approximately 50 pounds lost in a couple months, completely unintentional, and I was eating absolutely anything I wanted. This is where the body fat digital analyzer scale comes in. You guys have seen it in previous videos. This is just a scale that was sent to me by an awesome company a couple months ago, where I did a video about this scale and reviewing and things like that. But this is one that I've been using for my weight loss, my weight gain, which I'm gonna be using for my weight gain coming up here. But it's actually an awesome scale because it measures a lot of things that you normally don't do. So let's get into the weigh-in from this morning. And yes, I said the date wrong. It is actually the 28th this morning. All right, guys, December 29th, weigh-in with the body fat analyzer scale. This is, I'm male, I am an athlete, I'm 6 foot tall, I'm 37 years old. We're gonna step on this thing. I'm gonna have to hold my breath or else it doesn't really read. Here we go. Oh, come on, thing. All right. Now, this is the important part. So I'm 236.6, which means I've gained about 10 pounds since my surgery. I'm 25.3% body fat. I'm 56.1% water, 37% muscle mass, and 9.2 pounds of bone mass. So you guys can relate this to the other one that I did not that long ago. And like I said, I am a lot lighter than I was then, but that is the weigh-in for right now. All right, so like I said, this scale offers you a lot of other options for units of measurement of things that you normally want to get a hold of. Now, last time I talked about the scale, so many people were like, dude, you're not 25% body fat. If you're 25% body fat, then I must be 45% body fat. 2 things on that. Number one, every single person that I've ever met in my entire life who estimated their body fat has estimated it lower than it actually is. My body fat, I have a 6-pack, and I would probably say my body fat is somewhere in like the 15, 16 to 20% range, somewhere in there. A lot of people who are like walking around saying they're at 10% or 7% are more like 20, 23%. In order to actually be truly, truly shredded, it is absolutely insane how lean you actually need to be to, at like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% body fat, your skin is like paper. So you're definitely gonna wanna be careful about that. And then number 2, I really don't care if it's accurate because I don't care about what my body fat percentage is. I only care that it continually measures in the same way time after time. So even if it is not accurate, it's still measuring inaccurately the same way every single time. If I had a ruler that didn't have any numbers on it, I could still measure things because I have a yardstick to kind of work with. Same thing here. My body fat percentage may not be 25%, it may be, but as it changes, I can still measure it, and they change in that, judging by how the scale reacts. So whether it's accurate or not really doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that it's measuring the same way every single time, so I can get that data and continually look at it over a long period of time and see patterns in my training. So how I ended up dropping 50 pounds is actually a two-part kind of story. The first one is that because of stress, because of time, all right, so when I talk about stress, what I consider stress, for the past 4 years, I've worked 16 hours a day, every single day of my life. I have not taken a day off, 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, pushing. I also have another full-time job with the YouTube stuff. That usually takes me about 30 hours a week to put out the videos I put out. I do online coaching, I do online programs. That takes up a lot of time throughout the week, plus the gym expansion, plus being at my normal gym tons of time a week, on top of being a son, a friend, a husband, all those things. Basically, I never have actually felt stressed out. I don't feel like I'm gonna have a mental breakdown. I don't feel like there's really anything going on where I'm like, oh, I'm really, really stressed. What I can say is that there's so many times in my life when I just wish that there were more hours in the day. Now, a smarter man would tell you that that is stress. But we both know I'm not a smarter man. And on top of that, I'm still trying to be one of the top strongman competitors in the nation. So with all of that on me, eventually things started breaking down. Now, because of my business, and in order to eat food and live your life and pay your bills, you need to be able to make money. So my business obviously takes a higher priority than my training, because being able to pay my bills is more important than being the national championship. So my priorities kind of started changing, and rather than my training being a huge focus of my life, my training was way on the back burner. It was probably like the least important thing in my life, because it did not move me forward in my business and my goals. Obviously, some of my goals it absolutely did, and I always want to lift. I want to do better. I want to get better at that. But it had to go on a back burner. So I ended up just trying to fit my workouts in whenever I could. And even when I did fit my workouts in, I was constantly being asked questions during them. I was being interrupted. I was being whatever, because you can't really be a gym owner and the head coach of a place and lift at that same place without people coming up to talk to you, which is completely fine. I love people talking to me. It's not a big deal at all. However, it does suffer in your training. If you guys had someone coming up to you between every single set, talking to you, asking you questions, doing things, it would affect your workout as well. So I just started trying to shove things into little tiny small compartments of time. Whenever I could fit my training in, I did it. When I didn't, it got skipped. It's just what I had to do because it wasn't high on my priority list. But because of this, because of rushing and doing stupid things and not taking it seriously and not walking into each workout with an intention and things like that, it led to an injury, which was my rotator cuff. I've lifted for 23 years. I've never had one shoulder issue my entire time. And then once I got super stressed, I ended up tearing my rotator cuff because I was doing things that I should not have been doing, because I wasn't taking the time in setting up my training the way that I should and giving it the proper attention that it deserves. So once I tore my rotator cuff, that means that the 2 months prior to nationals, I didn't really lift weights, so I started shrinking pretty badly. That's why at nationals, I went from like 273, like I talked about that last competition, and at nationals, I can't remember, I think I weighed in at like 240 something, 245, something like that. Competed at nationals, finished off the rotator cuff, completely tore it there, came home, and it's been a month since then. And I've only lifted one time because we've had the gym expansion and Christmas and everything else coming up. So basically it's been at least 3 months without really lifting. And that is going to cause some atrophy from being a guy who was regular lifting, pushing hard, doing all those things, getting ready for competitions, to someone who was not lifting at all. You will shrink, absolutely. So that has been a decent amount of my loss because of atrophy from just not working out, because either I can't after post-surgery, or even beforehand I couldn't because I needed surgery. That was a long time without picking up heavy things. And then the other part of this equation is, if you guys go back and you watch the Royal Rumble video, you will actually see I throw up between every single event. I'm throwing up like crazy. I thought I had the flu, however, the throwing up never stopped. So literally for about 6 months, I eat 1 meal a day and I throw up multiple times a day. Because of that, I've gone through multiple tests, and they just got all finished up this past week, and they found that there's nothing physiologically wrong with me, so the only thing that they can come up with is stress. So at this point in my life, I need to start making some decisions about my priorities and what is important and what is not, and what gets attention and what does not. And there's gonna have to be some changes. So basically what most of my days consist of are me waking up and I start throwing up. I will throw up at least one time in the morning, sometimes 2-3 times, and then I will go off to work. However, fever. I feel nauseous, like I have the flu literally 24 hours a day. So for like 6 months, that's another one of the reasons why my training has definitely suffered, because lifting while you're about ready to throw up and you have to stop your sets pretty regularly to go throw up, that makes you not lift so well. It's a little bit distracting. But ever since I realized that it was probably stress, I have been doing a lot of things in my life to try to combat that and make some changes, and I've actually stopped throwing up, so I'm very, very happy about that. Now, if I could just get this shoulder in order, there's so many things that have come off my plate within the last month. I am so ecstatic, and I feel like a weight has just been lifted off my chest. Couple lawsuit things have kind of went in the past. The gym expansion is for the most part done. We still have another hearing coming up for some other things. A lot of my business stuff is done for the year. There are so many things that I was stressed out about that now have passed, and I am so thankful for all of that. That is just absolutely amazing, and I'm actually feeling so much better. And I'm really, really excited to get back to lifting. I'm really, really excited about just getting back to doing whatever. Now, for those of you who need a little bit of an update, the reason why I'm wearing the sling is because doing that gym expansion and doing all of that work, I definitely set myself back a little bit. I did not re-injure it. I'm not hurt. I just, I would say it's angry. My arm is definitely angry at me. Like Monica Lewinsky angry. But it is getting better, and I've not thrown up for a couple days, so that is a massive deal, and I'm so happy. I usually don't eat until about 9 o'clock at night, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I usually have a very small portion. So if you want to drop 50 pounds, I would tell you throw up multiple times a day, stop lifting weights, and only eat one very small meal a day. And trust me, you will get there in no time at all. Now, conversely, if you do not want to drop 50 pounds, you want to gain 50 pounds, I would tell you to eat like a madman, lift like a madman, and sleep like a madman. It really is that simple. Now, I'm not talking about type of stress that is like, I could not fit in my workout between watching The Walking Dead and Monday Night Football. I couldn't fit it in. I was too stressed out. That is not the kind of stress I'm talking about. What I'm talking about when stress is when you have so many good things, good positive things in your life, that you literally do not have enough hours left in the day. There's gonna have to be something that gives, because everything costs something, and you're going to need to be able to balance that out somehow. So things that I've been doing personally are a lot of wood carving. Wood carving for me is almost like a meditative experience, and I can't think about my business stuff while I am wood carving because it is too intricate, it's too time consuming, and too attention energy consuming. So wood carving for me has been an awesome thing to start bringing me down, to help me sleep a little better at night, do those types of things. Last night I actually carved a wooden chain. That's pretty cool, right? That actually started out as this block. So one block of wood turned into a chain. Pretty cool. Good for nothing. I don't know why anyone would ever make that, but it's still pretty cool, and it helps de-stress me, which is hugely, massively important in my life, for my health, for my lifting, for everything. Guys, if you do want to pick up a body fat digital analyzer scale, I will leave a link in the description down below. If you guys use the coupon code NEVERsate, you will save yourselves a little bit of money. So definitely use that if you're interested in doing that. Like I said, guys, I personally like the scale because it gives me some other variables that I can measure. And even if they are not completely accurate, if they still continue to measure inaccurately the same way time after time, then you can still measure that. You do not need accurate numbers to actually measure something. You just need forms and units of measurement. And that's exactly what the scale provides. So I am a fan. I don't know why people bash it. I think it's great. I am going to make an entire video about my goals for 2018. Also how I lay out my goals, and I do things quarterly as a roadmap to get to where I want to be, so that there's no guesswork in getting to your goals. So I'm going to make a video all about that. But actually, very, very interestingly, tomorrow, myself, Uncle Nick, and Coach Joe Satsmary are all headed down to go visit Jujumifu, where we are going to do a collaboration. It is going to be an absolute awesome time. So that should be really, really good. We're going to have some great content for that. Definitely check that out. Guys, try to figure out things to de-stress your life, especially if it is getting to the point where it's starting to affect your training, because I'm assuming if you're watching this, and training is a pretty important thing in your life, and if you're letting other aspects of your life that are less important than your training affect it, then you're going to have to make some changes. Me personally, there is nothing in my life that I can really give up that is less important than the lifting at this stage, but that's important because I am in a sling, so I can't really lift anyway. But once 6 months is up, I'm going to have to do a little paradigm shift, and I'm going to have to decide what my priorities are and what is important, and I'm going to have to get back out to training seriously. So, guys, I think it's really important to lay out your priorities, figure out what is important to you, start cutting out things that are of no value in your life, like watching TV, spending time just surfing the internet for absolutely no reason. If you're going to do something, set some time limits. Take the stress off you by taking a lot of the unimportant things out of your life so you can fill up that time with positive things, with other things like wood carving. Maybe some of you should start wood carving. But anyway, guys, I will catch up with you either later this week or early next week with some Juju Food collaboration videos, along with Uncle Nick and Joey Satsmary and Tom and just everybody. It's going to be such a good time. I love hanging out with those guys. They're some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. So really, really looking forward to that. It's going to be a good weekend, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. But until I do, go out, do something amazing for your lives. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other, and I'll see you then.